This evening, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to speak to you about something that I think is very, very important in our life and worthwhile to everyone. And that is being able to and have the understanding of the power of prayer. And I think that's vital for all of us who are on spiritual pathways or part of the spiritualism movement, in my opinion. The power of prayer is in the context of spirituality. It has to be, doesn't it? And it is understood as a transformative practice that fosters a profound connection with a higher power or the universe. At the end of the day, whatever you believe, whatever you find, there can only be one God, can't there? But I do believe you can pray to other deities or different things of that nature, and that would work the same way. But all of it is leading to personal growth in my way, inner peace and improved well-being. It is considered a deeply personal and subjective experience for many that provides comfort and strength regardless of specific religious beliefs at all. Now that might surprise you, but many people who I know who are not really what you would call extremely religious still pray. And I suppose sometimes I do find it a little bit difficult to understand, but I do believe that it's an important thing in your life to pray. I pray every evening, and I pray for my family and my loved ones and my friends, and for the world and for world peace and all the rest of those things. For the animal kingdom, I suppose most of you are very similar, but the key aspects of the power of prayer in spirituality for me is one, connecting obviously to the divine. Prayer acts as a bridge to or conversation with the divine on a higher level of existence or the soul of the universe, if you want to put it that way. This connection offers us peace, guidance, and a sense of belonging to something greater than oneself and something that can guide and help you in your life. I suppose as a reverend minister in the Christian New Spiritualist Society, that would be an absolute plus, uh, not a negative in any way. I think there are many people who say that they don't have any religion but still pray. I find that difficult really because I think you have to pray to something or someone for guidance, and surely that would be generally God, wouldn't it? Whatever you perceive God to be. Psychological and psychological benefits of praying. The practice of prayer is often overlapping with meditation, I think, and a mindfulness that can put you into a measurable, better way of sort of sorting out problems in your life and understanding what's happening and where you're going. And that to me is like a form of meditation. Many people, of course, in church pray and they're not in a meditative state. They're just, as normal, but saying their prayers, probably led by a clergy person. But I think when you pray on your own, specifically on your own, that is almost bordering on a sort of meditative state. And I think it's a very important thing that you should do. I think if anything, if you pray for something enough, and it's for good, for the good of man or for the good of those that you love, you will get guidance and help. I always think that by praying, by doing my prayers, I often have the answer to something when I wake up that I didn't have the answer to before I went to bed. And I'm sure that is significant to prayers. Connecting to the divine, prayer acts as a bridge, doesn't it, really? It is a conversation, isn't it, really? But with a divine force, I should say, a higher power, the soul of the universe, God. You can call this whatever you want to, but I do believe that it's very good and very beneficial. I also think that during your prayers, that's an ideal time to send distant healing. I have inquiries from all over the world to send distant healing, and it does work. If I have the information of the troubles that you're having, my first advice is to always consult a physician and go along those ways of finding healing for the body and mind. But also, what can it hurt to receive healing of a spiritual nature alongside it? And whenever people ask me for distant healing, I send it, but I generally send it during my prayer states when I'm very much at one and I can ask the higher forces to help and heal. I hope that makes sense. I hope you can understand that. There's some people that say, "Oh, you need to come and see me." You know what? That's what I want you to. I want you to come to my home, or I want to come to your home, and to and have healing with you. Well, I don't get out very much those days, although that may change. I am thinking about getting out and doing some more workshops for the world. I think that's a needed thing, really, and I do enjoy teaching others to be healers and mediums, and to do that sort of work. Something that's very special to me. But prayers, I think, is something that really that's a personal thing, but you have to get it on board if you really want to progress. I always say to all my students, please pray for your progression, your progress, that you will get guided and find the right way forward to develop, particularly your mediumship and your healing skills, because I do believe that. I don't think we've all seen courses where you can on the internet where you're trying to be a medium in, 6 classes or a weekend workshop or progress in this or that. And that's your choice. That's your money to spend and to do. Put your time into what you think is going to help you. Um, I just want people to really understand that distant healing through prayer is just as powerful and just as strong as being with that person. I mean, I think healing's changed a lot really over the last 50 years when I've been involved in spiritualism and healing and what have you. Because back in the day, we used to use hands-on healing and heal and say a little prayer, try to help the person like that. But the world we live in today, you can't really do that. You have to be very careful because you can't lay your hands on someone and if they feel that you've been too personal with them and get in all sorts of trouble. You just can't do it. So what I do really, I just ask them where the pain is or where the problem is. I put one of my hands on their forehead, the other in that region, and where the pain is going. I don't touch it, but I get as close to it as is acceptable. And then I will just say a little prayer and ask for healing. But you can get the same effect in distant healing. I want you to know that because that's important. So many people get in touch with me and saying, "Can you help me with healing? Can you come and see me?" Well, where are you? I'm up in the Scottish Islands, and I'm down here in Wolverhampton. That would be a long way to travel up, wouldn't it, really? And I know I'm digressing and perhaps giving a silly example, but just hoping you can take my point. Psychological and psychological benefits, if you like. The practice of prayer often overlaps, doesn't it? And people will say, "Oh well, a lot of healing takes place through psychology." Well, I'm sure it does, and I think that's absolutely fantastic if it works and gets into the head or the mind, and because the mind can cure anything. The mind can cure or help to cure anything that you might have wrong with you. It's like those people who always used to say to me, "Oh, I don't know how to quite explain this," but they always used to say, if you can't lay on their hands and just do it in a way that traditional church used to do it, then, it isn't going to go forward in the way it should. I think that's a nonsense. I think anything or anyone can heal. I'll tell you now, we have a dog at the moment, God bless him, and whenever me or my wife are not very well, he knows, and he will come over and he will lift one paw and put it on you, and almost like as if he's doing what I do for individuals, putting his hands on for healing, and you do feel better. I think it's a shame, really. I have had the idea for many, many years because I do believe that animals are very healing. Those of you who have got dogs, cats, horses, or any other pets, I'm sure you would consider what I'm saying, and most of you, a lot of you, I think, would agree with me. And I think it's a great shame that we can't take them into churches and let them give their healing to other people, other animals, but other, human beings as well, because it can work. That's a big ambition of mine, that is. I know that I used to have a dog that, honestly, he could almost hypnotise people. You'd look into his eyes and they'd be falling in back to what I call the somnambulistic state, which in simple terms is hypnosis in a various level. But there you go, I digress. Anyway, that's what I would say to you. Uh, Activate the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting rest and relaxation, if you like. Everything works on that sort of level, doesn't it? I think if you suffer from nerves, and no wonder so many people in the world today suffer from nerves and depression with all the pressure that we have. And, we feel sorry for the person who loses a leg or loses their vision or their hearing, but we should feel just as sorry for those people who have constant depression or constant worries of the mind. They need healing too, just as much. I think if you've been unfortunate enough to lose a limb, and I've had very good friends who that's happened to recently, one of the hardest things to do is to come to terms with not having that leg or legs or those arms. But some of the most wonderful people and healers manage to care and think about others despite what they suffer themselves. Not always. I once, I once remember a doctor. I won't go into names, of course, but I remember a doctor who was very, very grumpy, honestly. And this physician lost a leg, and whenever you went in to see him, which it wasn't very often because people wouldn't go in, but he'd say, "Look at me, you've moaning here about having the flu, or you've got, terrible, I don't know, sores on your neck or something. What if you've got this, like me, a leg? You've lost a leg." No, but that's a nonsense, isn't it? That's just a nonsense. You can't think like that. You can't think, well, because I've got this, why should others, you know, not be understanding of me? We all need healing, all of us, really. There are times, me included, when each and every one of us needs a little bit of support. I'm one of these people who'll often say, whatever I pray for, if I really need it, I'll get it. I will get it if I really need it, and it's for an honourable cause. If I pray for it, I've always got it. And people say, well, it doesn't happen for me. Well, maybe you don't believe strong enough. Maybe you don't have that strength of belief to listen to what comes into your mind in that sort of psycho meditative state that you can often be when you're quietly praying on your own. And I just think you can do that when you go in church. I've got friends who go in church, not when there's a service on, but when it's very quiet and there's no one there. And they just go to one of the pews and pray and feel that they're very much connected. And that's good, isn't it, if that's the case? Reducing stress by lowering your cortisol levels. Jordan, I can't read my own notes, to be quite honest. Well, what does that mean in simple terms? Well, the stress that we have in the world, I think, is very important to pray and ask, to have help with your stress that we all have in the world. And we call this the cortisol levels. It's all to do with sort of, I suppose, the dream state. People are saying to me, well, I don't know about healing. Healing, I don't even ever dream. You do. You do. I mean, I can guarantee you those who say I don't dream. If you had somebody stand beside you with a video camera or something in video, you'd see your eyes fluttering. And we call that REMs. That's really just a technical spur for remote understanding of how the visions and the eyes reflect from various influences, and they do. So it's a fact. You can look up REMs yourself. I'll give you a bit of homework to do. I'm going to make it all easier for you. I think prayer definitely increases the feel-good hormones that we have in our body, like serotonin and things like that, and that can improve mood and emotional stability. I think prayer can help with all those things. And I think it can lower your blood pressure as well. Because again, I think those of us who suffer blood pressure, we're often the type of people who are often have stressful lives, or very empathic to people, care about people, and worry about other people. Some people say, well, I don't worry about anybody except myself. Good luck to them. Good luck to them if that's the case. I worry about everybody in my family. I worry about everyone that I know. I worry about the world. So I certainly get stressed, but I think the power of prayer can help me with it, so they can help you with it. And if it can be reduced, so much the better. You might come across something called the alignment of will and intention. In many spiritual traditions, the power of prayer lies not in changing the divine mind or forging a specific outcome, but rather getting everything in balance so as you as a person, it's healing really, isn't it really? But it's also part of prayer, isn't it, that's my view on it anyway. I think it's the way it works. The power of prayer, can you say, immensely transformative and deeply personal aspects of spirituality for us all. If you don't pray, and some people don't, some people are atheists and don't believe in anything at all. I always feel a bit sorry for those people. And they always say, wouldn't it be possible for you, just as a favour to me, just occasionally say a prayer and ask to be helped and guided with something that's worrying you or a problem about somebody else? And do that prayer for 5 or 6 weeks and see if there's any difference. I'll be amazed if there isn't. And you'll feel better about it. That's the most important thing about praying as well. It makes you feel good. A very good, great medium really wrote a very good piece a few years ago, way back to when I was a boy, probably, when I first read it. And perhaps not a boy, a young man when I would have read it, maybe in my 20s or something. And that was by the great Gordon Higginson. He wrote a very interesting paper that I'm not sure I ought to know, hadn't I? I was a psychic. I was I was a feature writer for Psychic News and also a feature writer for Psychic World. But like everybody else, I do that many things. I forget about what I have done and what I haven't. But it might have been in one of those papers. But with the wonderful internet that we have today, and some people say some horrible things about the internet, and my gosh, there is some horrible things out there on it. Keep away from that. But it is a wonderful tool. If you were to type in the power of prayer, Gordon Higginson, I'm sure you'd find that thing that I read, that piece of paper that I read all those years ago. And undoubtedly, for the next few years, you'll be putting in Philip Solomon, the power of prayer, and looking at what we've had a chat about tonight, the power of prayer in spiritualism with me, Philip Solomon. Well, you've been listening to Spiritual Times with me, which I know many of you starting to do in great numbers every Thursday between 7 and 8. And I am glad that you can join me because it wouldn't be the same without you. I hope your new year is going well and everything's all right for you. And you deserve that. Be a good person. If you be a good person, you'll find that you'll attract the same sort of people to you. And that's what we really need in life, isn't it? If we can get good people around us in our life, we have half a chance of sorting anything out, don't we? So I wish you good night and God bless, and hope 2026 is going to be a good year for you. I'm sure it will.